Welcome to another episode of Out of Spec Bits, where today I'm going to be bringing on Corbin, otherwise known as the Ioniq Guy, as an expert on the topic at hand, which is that Hyundai has officially announced that they're going to stop importing the Ioniq 6 from South Korea. And the question is, what's going on with that? And let's discuss this. Now, they are saying that they are later this year going to be bringing the Ioniq 6N into this country, but the Ioniq 6, which is that's just not going to make it anymore over here. So let's get into it and talk with the Ioniq Guy. Corbin, how you doing? It's good to see you. You and I have known each other a long time, number of years, and we got. I think the day I picked up my Ioniq 5, crazy rainy day, I met you and we filmed a video. Remember that time?
Yeah, that was just about exactly 4 years ago. Time has
Wow.
flown.
Pretty crazy. Well, why don't you, for those people that maybe don't know you, maybe you could just briefly introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about the cars that you have, and then let's get into this topic about what's going on with the Ioniq 6.
Yeah, so I run the Ioniq Guy YouTube channel. I own I don't own, I lease a 2025 Ioniq 5 limited all-wheel drive, and I also lease a 2024 Ioniq 6 SE rear-wheel drive, which is the big battery rear-wheel drive with the small wheels. So it's the road trip king version of the Ioniq 6. And that lease ends in about a month. So I'm going to be replacing it pretty soon. So it's kind of just sad that my time with the Ioniq 6 is ending, and the time that the US has with the Ioniq 6 is also coming to an end.
Yeah. Well, listen, there's been some interesting challenges with the EGMP platform over the years, the ICCU issue, 12-volt battery issue. There's been a lot. I remember one of the first videos I ever made was when my Ioniq 5 died in my driveway. All I wanted to do was go out for a run, which is a rare thing. And if for those who know me, and yeah, I couldn't get that thing going, so I jumped it. But I know you've had some really good input on the ICCU issue, and we're going to save that for another chat perhaps. But what is going on right now? Maybe you can tell us what's happening with the Ioniq 6.
So unfortunately, Ioniq 6 sales have not been great. It's not a secret. Every time the monthly sales report comes out, it's always low. And last year was particularly bad. For 2025, sales were actually down 15% year over year. So last year, they only sold in the US slightly over 10,000 units versus the Ioniq 5 sold incredibly well at closing in on 50,000 units for 2025. So you're talking a drop in the bucket compared to Ioniq 5. The Ioniq 5 is now made in the United States. So it's made right here. They're not paying any tariffs to import it, unlike the Ioniq 6, which is now subject to a 25% tariff.
You heard directly from Hyundai today, is that right?
Yeah, I reached out to them for comment when kind of some other publications started whispering about it.
Yeah, and it was interesting because I didn't really see anything official in the public domain that Hyundai put out, but we were seeing quite a few different outlets posting about the fact that they were going to eliminate the import of the Ioniq 6. And we wanted to make sure that that was 100% accurate. So Corbin, thank you so much for reaching out and getting the answer. What is it that they told you?
They basically just said that they will basically be going down to just the Ioniq 6. And they said it in a weird way, basically not really acknowledging the standard Ioniq 6, but just saying that, oh, our lineup continues with the Ioniq 6N. But they did tell me that there are still plans to import it to Canada. So Hyundai Canada, you'll be able to get one. I'm not planning on crossing the border to buy one, though.
They're going to have the Ioniq 6N come into the country later. They haven't hit the shores yet here. And by the way, the Ioniq 6 itself, you ran that didn't you run that across in the Seattle to Boston run that we did?
I sure did. Pretty efficient. I mean, we still got beat by the Model 3 by 10 to 15 minutes. Their efficiency was still much better than the Ioniq 6, even though the Ioniq 6 is a very efficient car. Um, and we all know the Model 3 doesn't charge as well as the Ioniq 6, but efficiency kind of trumped um, charging speed in that race.
Right. I remember we were talking about, whether the ability to be able to charge from what 10 to 80, the stated fact 18. I've seen it many times. I know you have as well. When you find a good charger, that car does charge quite well, and it is definitely an efficient vehicle. So we thought that that might be something that would perhaps take on the Model 3, but at the end of the day, it just didn't. So continuing on with the trend of last year, just about 10,500 were actually sold. Why do you think that's such a poor selling vehicle?
I ask myself this all the time, and I think a lot of it comes down to the fact that it's an odd looking car. I think most people would agree it's not a white bread kind of car. It really sticks out. Um, and just for ha-has, earlier I asked Google Gemini, I was like, how many sedans were sold in the US in 2025 last year between the big names, Toyota, Honda, Hyundai, and Kia? And it was about a million cars. But when you compare that to the total number of cars being sold in the US, sedans just aren't selling like small crossover SUVs are. So that's why we see the Ioniq 5 doing so well in comparison. But even the EV6 last year, Kia's small hatchback, whatever you want to call it, sold pretty poorly compared to the Ioniq 5. So we also don't really know what's going on with EV6 either, because Kia has not officially announced a 2026 EV6 for the US.
The difference between the Ioniq 5 and we'll throw the Ioniq 9 in there as well, is they're both made in the United States now, whereas the Ioniq 6 is not. And these tariffs, I don't really know exactly what the latest percentage is, but I think on South Korea, I'm pretty sure it was 25%. I don't know if it's at that same. You can't keep track of all these different tariffs. They're always moving and all of that. But the fact that they're still going to be bringing this vehicle into other countries, beyond the U.S., including Canada, I think it's an economic decision. That, in combination with the fact that it is an odd-looking vehicle. You've got the angular lines with the Ioniq 5, and you've got the sort of curvaceous lines of the Ioniq 6, almost to the point where, in one way, Corbin, I give hats off to the Hyundai allowing their designers to be able to come up with such unique designs, right? Which I think is great. But I think they maybe just didn't hit the nail on the head with this design. So, what do you think the path forward here for Hyundai with respect to the Ioniq 6? Just globally speaking, I don't know if you've got the numbers or any indication how this vehicle is selling globally for them.
I don't have any global numbers, but I'm just disappointed that we're not going to get to see if the refresh would have impacted sales and increased them at all in the United States, because I'm sure you've seen the photos of the new Ioniq 6. I think it looks a fair bit better than the previous version. I know a lot of people's biggest issues with it from the rear end was the double spoiler kind of thing in the back. They kind of eliminated that completely for the refresh. So I think it's a more effective version of the Ioniq 6, but we're never going to know how it would sell here unless, who knows, things change in the next year or two and they do end up bringing it back or manufacturing it in the US.
Right.
But it's a popular car in other markets, just not so much here.
When you rode in that vehicle from Seattle to Boston, and obviously you own one, but which is more comfortable to you, the Ioniq 5 or the Ioniq 6?
Oh, the Ioniq 5 by far.
Really? And
um,
why is that? Just because there's more room, or is it the ride as well?
Ioniq 6, I've always found rides better than the Ioniq 5. It's a little less floaty, it's a little tighter. But backseat, just comfort. Being in the back of the Ioniq 6 for probably 30 plus hours in that race, it was tough. I mean, you're a tall guy like I am, and being in the back seat of that, my head was like in the ceiling for a decent part of the
Yeah,
drive.
the slope roof was a challenge, right?
Yeah, I couldn't get as comfortable as I could in the back of the Ioniq 5.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah.
All right. Well, listen, I don't think we need to keep beating this. It's pretty obvious what's happening. I just think that waiting until we actually heard, or you heard specifically from Hyundai, in my opinion, was the right move. And now that we know this, we just wanted to get out to let everyone know, bye-bye to the Ioniq 6. And, it's funny. The title of this video is Another EV Bites the Dust. It's not really biting the dust because they're still going to be manufacturing in South Korea. They're going to be still exporting it to a lot of different countries around the world, including, it sells over in South Korea as well. But at least it's biting the dust for the U.S. Final thoughts, Corbin?
Yeah, I'm sad that we're losing options in the U.S. because I want to see consumers have as many options as possible. And we're losing the Ioniq 6, possibly the EV6. The Kia EV5 isn't coming here. The Kia EV4 got canceled for the US. We don't know if the EV3 is coming now. It's just everything's in such limbo right now here.
Yeah.
And I don't know what I'm going to replace my Ioniq 6 with now, because I was really
you want to borrow my Model Y?
Maybe borrow it for a couple days and check out the Juniper.
All right. Well, and then the question is, what are you going to give me? Are you going to let me borrow the Ioniq 6 or the Ioniq 5?
Which one do you want? You can have your pick of the litter.
Oh man. Well, I could reminisce with the Ioniq 5, or I could see if I fit in the Ioniq 6. It's like
it might be tight. I don't know. You've got what, right. 6'6"?
6'5", yeah. 6'5".
Yeah.
So
you got a few inches on me.
Yeah. It's it can be a challenge, but listen, let's talk about that maybe swap for a weekend type thing. I just want to be able to own the car for at least a few days. So far, it's been great. I love it. It's really good. But anyway, everyone, thank you again for watching another episode of Out of Spec Bits. These things happen. Corporations make big decisions for lots of reasons, but I think what's right there on the screen is pretty much all telling. Boy, look at that. Look at how many Elantras sold. Anyway, everyone, you take care. We'll catch you on the next episode of Out of Spec Bits, and have a great night, Corbin. Thanks for coming on. Really appreciate it. Bye-bye.
See you, Dave.